Okay, you're seeing the sausage being made here. And in a second. Come on. There we go. No. There it is. It's live. Or was it Memorex? Remember those old ads? All right. So I can.
Showing your age.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think we're all kind of there. So just like that, now we have member announcements. So Keith McMahon, go right ahead.
Okay. So for background information, I recently purchased a new Apple M1 Studio and display, 27-inch display. I do a lot of photography, editing and stuff. And the reason I bought it was because the software that's come out from the software editing companies like Adobe and Topaz, my 8-year-old iMac wouldn't handle it. So I got this new computer and I have an 8-year-old 27-inch iMac with a Retina display that I wanted to dispose of. I didn't need anymore. Apple would only give me less than $200 for it as scrap material. I tried to sell it locally. I tried to advertise it a couple of times through Bob White on the MacNexus newsletter and got no interest in it. I didn't want to go through the hassle of trying to sell it on eBay, where similar machines were selling for $400 to $500. So I found a company in Cincinnati, Ohio called Sell Your Mac. And I contacted them by phone. They have very good service representatives. I filled out an online quote listing the serial number and the amount of RAM and the amount of storage, et cetera. And it was in very good condition. And they offered me $320 for it. And they would send me a prepaid shipping label to send it to Cincinnati. So I did that a couple of weeks ago. It took about a week for the thing to get here. Only took them 2 days to approve it and say, yes, your description, the machine fits your description, and we'll send you a check for $320. They at least told me they mailed that check to me on Friday last week. I've not gotten it yet, but I was giving it a week to get here. My point in this is that I think this may be a good alternative for anybody trying to sell a Mac computer that can't sell it locally. Ken has never heard of this place, so this is partly for Ken's benefit, but I thought any of the other members who are interested in this might like to know what it is.
Yeah, I've heard of them. They've been around for quite a while.
Yeah, I'd heard of them a long time ago. In fact, they started with when people were trading in iPhones a lot, but I had never dealt with them.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm recommending that people who have a Mac.
Well, wait till you get your check.
Okay, well, that's maybe true. Maybe you won't get there, but the people on the phone seem very knowledgeable, and I'm assuming it'll come in the next couple of days. So
that's great.
Follow up with a report so we know.
I will, Ken. I will send you an email when the check arrives.
No problem. Okay. Make sure you take a picture of everything on the check and send it to me. Front and back.
What?
Send me a picture a very good picture, front and back of the check, just to verify.
Why do you need that?
Because if I beat you to deposit it on mobile deposit before you get it to the bank, I get the money.
That's kind of what I thought. So I don't have to worry about a scam from the company. I have to worry about a scam from our illustrious leader.
Yeah. All right. Good job. Any other, and thank you, Keith. Any other announcements from the membership or volunteers? Okie doke. Then let me go back to the keynote. I don't have to bring it up yet because actually that gets us into tech Q&A. And Bob, did we have one come into the Mac? I don't think we did we?
I didn't have any, no.
Okay. And we just had Bev's question this morning. So does anybody have any questions? We answered a few already. So now is your time to ask any questions about Apple products or software or anything like that. Anything computer or tech related. feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself.
Yeah, this is
or-
Dawn.
Hi, Don.
Hi. My time machine works if I go back a couple of days, but if I try to go back more than a week, I sat there and have waited 5 minutes. I haven't waited longer than that, and nothing happens.
Well, when you say go to your time machine, what do you mean?
I mean, I go up and open time machine and it opens up
You
a
say
window.
enter time machine?
Yeah,
No, don't do that. Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Are you trying to restore your computer, or you're just trying
No,
to
I
make
had
sure-
a file that I modified and I want to find the old version of it.
Yeah, that's not the easiest way to do it. The way you want to go in to look at time machine, because that's a great interface and you can do stuff, but the problem is if you go get the file that way, you're going to replace you're going to replace the one you have currently on your computer. If you just treat it like a regular hard drive and you go into your external hard drive on your desktop, if it's there, or if you go into Finder and you find your external hard drive, and you go into backups, and then you go in there and you go all the way down, you drill out down into your user, just like you would be navigating through a hard drive. You are looking at that hard drive. You can go find the file you're looking at, and you can drag it from the time machine to your desktop. Now, be careful, because if you have that same file on your desktop, it's going to either replace it or rename it. But you simply just drag it out of that. And you pick which date you want to go back to. Like if you know that that file was correct on June 10th, you'd go into backups and go to June 10th and navigate through to where it is. And then it just looks just like a regular drive, and you simply would drag it across from the drive to there. Even though it's not really the file, it's a alias of the file, and be careful. But that whole enter time machine you can really do some things that'll mess you up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
And this
Yeah.
is much easier.
Yeah.
And you can always preview a file when you're going and looking at it like that. If you click and highlight the file name one time and hit the space bar, you will get a preview of what's in that file. If it's a document, if it's a video, whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's nice.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
good. Yeah, good luck on that.
Ken,
Go ahead, Charles.
I downloaded a PDF file that had a form on it that I wanted to fill in the blanks. How can you do that with a PDF file?
Yes. Was it from a government agency?
No.
Okay, because sometimes they have some weird quirks on theirs. But basically, you download it, and if it's a PDF, you open it in preview, and some of them are designed so you can click fill in the blanks. If not, you need to do what you go into tools and you annotate it. And what I'll do is I'll just make a text box, and then I'll fill in each line that I need, and then I'll adjust the parameters on it and stuff. You'd be better off going and, it's called preview, and just say, how do I edit a PDF in preview, and do that. And in fact, another great thing is, because with documents like that, most of the time you need to put your signature on it. So preview allows you to make a signature, and you can do it a couple ways. You can sign your name on your trackpad if you have a trackpad, or in preview, when you create a signature, I take a sheet of paper, a regular 8.5 by 11, and I fold it in half. I fold it in half, and I just sign my name right in the center with fairly bold ink. I don't use a Sharpie, but I use fairly bold ink pen. And I hold that up to the camera, and it will capture your signature. When you're doing that, also just do your initials so that you hold that up to the camera, and it will store those. And then you simply put that into a document, and that's your signature in the document. So I don't know if Apple has a help thing on preview, but there's some amazing things you can do in preview.
They have a couple.
What's that? You got some Al coming? Great.
Yeah.
Joellen, go ahead with your question. Unmute yourself.
Sorry, I could also start my video. I have an old iPhone 10, which I keep around for.
Nice stove.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I have an old iPhone 10 as my auxiliary iPhone, and I've not updated it because I have a program, an app on it, iTalk, which I use for recording lots and lots of stuff over the years. And iTalk no longer works with the newer iOS deals. So I don't know how to go about moving my files. I think they're AIFF files, how to move them off of this app and into something that I can still use. Anybody smart about audio files?
Well, AIFF is pretty common. I'm just wondering, does it allow you, do you have a ton of files?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And because there might be a share thing in there.
It doesn't really, well, shoot. I was going to say it doesn't really work, but that's not true. It does still work. That's why I still have it. Yeah, there is a share button. I mean, let me go.
And is it for each individual one, or can you share multiples?
Yeah, I think it's for each individual one.
So the other thing is there's some software that might be able to, and I think they give you a free trial, Phone View, PhoneView, one word. And I believe it's by Ecamm, if I'm not mistaken, ECAMM.
Uh-huh.
And it lets you go in. So like I get a lot of times, I've had 3 incidents where for legal matters, people needed to archive all their texts on their phone.
Uh-huh.
And so this does that. It allows you to go in, and it really, and it's not anything nefarious. It doesn't circumvent any of the procedures, but what it does is you unlock your phone and you let it go in, and it may be able to harvest those files.
Uh-huh.
And then it's a program for your computer, and you're hooking your computer or your iPhone up to the computer via a cable, and Phone View goes in and lets you get those, and then you could download those to your computer.
Does anyone happen to know what app would be happy to receive these AIFFs?
Well, if you have AIFFs, the phone can play them. I mean, essentially in iTunes, but the phone has the built-in one that does that now called Voice Recorder.
Right. So
going forward, that's what you'll want to use.
Right. That's what I have been using on the newer iPhones. So
you may have to, within the Mac, there's a chance if you want these on your phone now all the time.
I love having them on my phone all the time.
Okay, then if AIFF doesn't work, you can use like VLC, maybe even QuickTime, and convert them to MP3 or something like that to make them more
that's a
portable.
good idea. Yeah, I wonder if they'll keep all the file information, all the titles and dates and all that stuff.
Well, that kind of depends, but you have that on the original file. You're never going to get rid of the original file. That doesn't.
Well, it'd be
nice
to update the iOS on your phone.
You don't need those for listening. If you want to listen to them, that's one thing. If you want to have all the data on them, that's a whole nother thing.
I'd like to have them on my new phone as well as on the old phone.
Well, good luck with that. Like
Okay,
I said, it'll probably show up in Apple Music, which is the new iTunes.
Is that the one you have to have a subscription for?
No, that's Apple Music Plus, I think it's called.
You can just create a.
Actually, I'm sorry, the program is called Music.
Uh-huh.
That's what iTunes is.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, Al.
I was about to suggest that maybe she could just make a playlist, give it a name, and store them all in there. And so they'd, they'd be portable and you'd be able to have them.
Okay, good idea.
And that other stuff is called metadata, and it probably won't preserve it if you have to do a conversion, because the conversion usually puts the new file dates and everything else on it. Whereas if you maintain the AIFF files, that will do it. But, and another one look at is, like I said, QuickTime and VLC.
Okay.
VLC is also for converting videos, but it converts audio.
Okay.
All right.
All right, great. I'll look into
Great
those.
Q&A
Thank you.
questions. Anybody else? Nobody's got any hands up. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a question. One of our 32 people online.
32.
Yeah. Okay. So next thing I have is moving on to, find it here. That's Tech Q&A. We're going to do current news and rumors, and we're going to do something a little different than we've done in the past. You know, Al does such a great job of getting all the links for us and doing everything else. And he has put it together in a keynote and going to go through it. And then at the tail end, I'm going to come in with a couple news and rumors things. And then from that, we will walk ourselves into the first part of the presentation, which is all about the stuff that was at WWDC. Then once we're done with that presentation, and that will fill quite a bit of it, we will go on to accessibility. And to be honest, my bandwidth has been so bad lately, not from the internet standpoint, from my ability and time to do things, that I don't have a lot of new stuff in what I'm going to talk tonight about accessibility, but I'm working on our accessibility class that I will be doing, a long one, because Apple's made some neat changes and there's even more coming up. So we're going to just kind of touch on accessibility. We're going to leave plenty of time for question and answer in that, but it's going to be leading up to the, what is it, July 2nd class, and we'll do that. So anyway, Al, if you're ready. Oh, and then by the way, and then of course at the end is our virtual raffle that we will do. And speaking of the raffle, was kind of funny because we had the person that won the all member raffle was really excited. And I always send an email to the people because those are people that weren't in the meeting. And so they're going to get an email from Amazon. And that night I send out an email. I say, hi, this is Ken from MacNexus. You're getting an email from Amazon. It's not fake. It's not a scam. It really is. And then she emailed back just to make sure I wasn't giving her a scam thing, and went back and forth. And when I finally told her she could text me at my number and stuff, she realized it wasn't a scam. And she was very happy to get her gift certificate. So anyway, and you guys should be cautious. Yeah, before we go into this, I had two really good ones come up recently. And this one yesterday was, so I'm on, I bought some stuff at Dick's Sporting Goods before. And I got this email and it said, if you fill out this survey, and it looked just like a Dick's Sporting Good ad. And I don't know if they're affiliated with Dick's or not, but they said you can get this Yeti cooler. It's a backpack cooler if you fill out this survey. And it didn't say you'd be put in a drawing. It said you'd get the Yeti backpack. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, those Yeti backpacks, I thought they were like $70-80. It turns out they're like $300, but I'm looking at the thing. And so, and I actually, when I was partway, I did the survey, and at the end of the survey, it asked you to put in your email address and things like that. And you have to pay for shipping. So I thought, well, okay, and I was about ready to put my credit card in to find out if it's reasonable shipping, $10 or whatever. But in a really small line across the very top of the screen, it said, by accepting this, your first month will be free. Your first month of the $44 fee per month will be free. And I'm like, and I didn't even know what it says it's signing up for, but I like, whoa. So I backed out. I looked how much the Yeti was. I found that out. And then I went back to the email and I checked the URLs that it came from. And it was not Dick's Sporting Goods, but it was weird. And it asked the right questions. You know, it asked your age, your income level. It didn't ask anything security wise that bothered me. So, and I knew to win this prize or to get, this free thing for the survey, I'd have to put in a real email address and stuff. Well, luckily I went back out to the email. I looked at that and I go, oh, yeah. And so, but I just saw this little, and it was kind of, to their credit, it was red up top and it was just a banner at the top that was maybe a 1/4 inch wide. And it said, yeah, your first month's free and of $44 a month. So I don't know how many, yeah, you get this free Yeti backpack, but you're gonna, and I would imagine you probably don't get it for like 3 months or something like that. So you've already paid $44 for a couple months. So anyway, that was a weird scam. And I would say that it's less scam than it is shady business. And I really don't think it had anything to do with Dick's Sporting Goods. So I'm not throwing them under the bus for it. But anyway, you just be careful and remember, something for nothing ain't gonna happen usually. So be careful. That one almost got me. So anyway, so Al, are you ready to start with your keynote?
Sure. I was trying to look up to see if Dick's Sporting Goods scams.
I looked it up too. No, seriously. As soon as I got to that point, I looked it up and I didn't see anything listed. And what was funny is it went through and it had the Yeti backpack and then it had something else. And it was of the kind of the same value, but it was grayed out like, okay, we've redeemed all of those. There's none of those left. I mean, it was good. It was very good.
Yeah, they're pretty innovative. They make things look, pretty trustworthy and legit.
there's a chance that Dick's Sporting Goods gave them my email. What I used to do with my domain name, kenspencer.com, is I would sometimes put, because everything, if you address anything to blah, blah, blah at kenspencer.com, I have a mail forwarder that does no matter what it is. So I could put something like Dick's for Dick's Sporting Goods or, Alamo rental cars or whatever. And then I would know who'd gotten it. But I just don't even want that email address out very much. It's not out in the wild. So I don't really do that anymore. So anyway, all right. So you're ready?
Sure. Let me share my screen.
Go ahead, share your screen. And don't forget to hit play on Keynote so it goes full screen. And
Gotcha.
I will spotlight you as the speaker.
Okay.
Nice background. Your shirt and your background almost match.
Yeah, it's one of my I took this photograph not long ago on the American River. They're doing some habitat restoration out there, and for a brief window of time, they had these fields of poppies that had just been popped out, and so I turned this into a Mother's Day card for my mom.
Yeah, and you used one of the painting programs, right?
Yeah, I used Pixelmator Pro.
Yeah. So you'll notice how that picture is kind of it gives the painting effect. You can choose different ones. Pixelmator Pro is fantastic.
It's great. It's great. It's terrific. Okay, here.
And then just pick Keynote.
Let's see here. Something's
You've
not.
got to make, you've got multiple screens, right?
Yeah, I've got 3 screens up here now.
Yeah, so you need to bring it over to,
Okay, here. No, this is not what I want here.
actually, you know what you could do is you could unshare. And then when you hit share screen, Keynote will be an option.
Okay.
When you click the green button, it says share screen. And then look for Keynote as one of the options. And that'll take you right there without having to do your desktop.
When I set it up earlier, I needed, let me try this one more time here. See if this, well, it's not happening. Okay.
Were you able to do that?
Now, let's see here. I had it set up earlier with let's see, 3. Okay, here.
Yeah, the problem is how Zoom does it. We should have done a preview on it. I
Yeah.
apologize for not thinking of that. Have you changed it since you set it to me? Because I could put it up.
No, shucks.
Okay, hit the green share screen button. And when that window pops up, is Keynote on any of those windows? Not desktop, but just Keynote. It should be its own window, own little pane. There you go.
Okay, can see what I can't see my notes with this window here like this.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with it because
so this is no good.
well,
Let me see.
yeah.
Let me see here.
So you want your presenter notes. So put it in play. You're not.
Yeah. If let's see here.
You're in. If you put it in play, do your presenter notes show up on the side? And hold on. See over here on the right, in the upper right, where it says slide.
There we go.
Okay, but are you able to see your notes?
Okay. Yeah, I can see my notes here, but I've got the wrong. I've got it.
And we're not seeing the slide.
Okay, let me try this one more time here.
Could you look at your notes on a different device?
No. And let me try this one more
Al,
time.
hang on, stop a second. On the right-hand side of Keynote, do you see where it says slide? Other right. No, on the right down below the title bar. Even with your Media 10 drive, right here, slide Keynote. Nope, to the left. Go slightly to the left, right there. Click that, and I think it gives you some choices. Oh no, that's layout choices.
Yeah, that's
You're
just
in, never
layout
mind.
choices here. Let me do one more thing here. I think okay, I'll start all over again and I'll pick the right screen here. Share screen. And this is the one I wanted. Share that. And I'll play this. Okay. Sorry about that.
It's black.
Yep.
Great. Good job. Are you
All
able to see your notes?
right. Yes, I am.
Good. You're there. Woohoo!
All right. Sorry about the foul up there at the beginning there, folks. Well, we have a lot of
Take a
information.
deep breath. You're great.
We've got a lot of information in the Apple universe since the Worldwide Developers Conference was held earlier this month. And I've got a few Apple tidbits that I found of interest. And I'll briefly go through some of the highlights of after that's over later, I'll start some of the highlights for the WWDC, and then Ken will take a deep dive in a couple of features and initiatives. Okay, this is from Apple Insider. It has a synopsis for what we can expect from Apple TV OS 16. A brief list includes some support for additional Bluetooth controllers and support for Matter. Matter is a new unifying smartphone stand that will allow certified products to work across HomeKit, Amazon Alexa, Google Home, and Samsung SmartThings, among others.
And by the way, Al will have all these links in the PDF you will get in the next email from Bob. So don't worry about having to run all these down.
Yeah. Okay. Again, from Apple Insider, we have a link there with a comparison of the new M2 MacBook Air versus the M1 MacBook Air specifications. Excuse me. The M2 also has a much needed upgrade to memory capacity with an 8 gig starter option and a 16 gigabyte upgrade joined by a 24 gigabyte option. As you would expect, Apple is taunting the performance benefits of the new chip over the old one. According to Apple, there's a 20% improvement in applying filters and effects in imaging apps like Photoshop. The article also has a nice side-by-side spec chart for you guys to evaluate. Pretty helpful. Next up is something I found. Apparently, a trio of lawmakers has called the U.S. Commerce Department to follow Europe's lead in beginning implementing a strategy to mandate a universal common charger standard that may not be USB-C. In a letter to the Commerce Secretary, Gina Raimondo, some Democratic senators, Ed Markey, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders, urged the department to come up with a solution for the lack of interoperability standards for charging and other device accessories. Earlier in June, the European Union agreed on new rules that would force smartphone manufacturers to adopt USB-C as a charging port on their devices by 2024. We'll see how this pans out. Sometimes some of these legislative initiatives, they don't pan out with what they originally intended. Sometimes the marketplace needs to sort some of this stuff out.
And just a little backstory on that. The European Union has mandated USB-C for quite a while. What Apple did is they ship Lightning. Lightning is a great thing because USB-C comes out easier and things like that. So the Lightning with the little balls on the side, when you click it in, it clicks in, but it can go both ways. USB-C it can transfer more data. The problem is USB-C is, there's different strengths of the charging and all kinds of different things. It's a great connector, and I don't think it's the be all end all though. So the problem is there, these non-tech people. I mean, if you talk to most of the government officials in both of these, in the EU and over here, most of them don't even know how their stuff works. And they're trying to make decisions on this. And I think USB-C would be good because of interoperability, but it's not without its warts, as I like to say.
Yep.
It has problems. And everybody seems to think it's Apple trying to pay, get that tax that they get when they charge people to make Lightning connectors when they use that. But that's really not it. It's really, they try to make it a better connector, and you really want the better people making the connectors. And I'll tell you, there's a slew of USB-C connectors and people out there, and this stuff is just garbage. So It's tough. And I think technology should let this stuff come to rise and not have anything mandated, because by the time they have this, there'll be a new type of connector that'll probably be better, but the law won't change it. So, if they had their way, we'd probably still be using regular old USB-A and the slow speeds it has, or the original 30-pin connector that came on the iPod.
Yeah. Is the Apple Lightning connector the USB-C?
No, the Apple Lightning, the USB-C you can see on the screen. USB-C, Keith, is essentially most of the new connectors you got on your new computer, except for the old USB-A. But USB-C is two things. USB-C is this connector, which the nice thing about it is, just like the Lightning cable, it can go in one way or the other. But the confusion could be Apple has they essentially use 3 different connectors right now. Lightning is that 9-pin connector that is used. It looks like it's 8, but it's 9-pin that you use on the existing iPhones. That's the Lightning. Now, Lightning and Thunderbolt look alike. A Thunderbolt connector is what you're seeing on the screen here, because it has that Lightning bolt, which means Thunderbolt. And Thunderbolt, we're up to Thunderbolt 4, but that's USB-C. It's interchangeable with USB-C, but Thunderbolt itself can just can support more display monitors and faster speeds, but it in fact is the form of USB-C. And while it looks like Lightning, it's not. Lightning connector is totally different, but it's easy to confuse Lightning and Thunderbolt because of the connector. But what the iPhone has is Lightning. What a lot of the iPhones or the iPads is Lightning, but now the newer and especially the M1 iPads come with USB-C, and it's a fast connection. And Lightning is going to go away. You're probably going to see USB-C in the iPhone. I'm not sure on the 14, but I bet it would be on the 15. So good question on that, Keith.
Thank you for the explanation.
Okay, next up, I found this from 9 to 5 Mac. iOS 16
Great
brings,
site, by the way.
yeah, always have really good stuff. I guess iOS 16 brings a lot of improvements when it comes to ArcKit. It's the augmented reality kit for the API, and some related technologies. One of the technologies is called Room Plan. It's a new API, and API is application programming interface that uses LiDAR scanning to quickly create 3D floor plans. Apps capable of 3D floor plans using the iPhone and iPad aren't exactly new, but they aren't exactly accurate either. When Apple introduced a LiDAR scanner with the 2020 iPad and the iPhone 12 Pro, it became easier to detect the dimensions of objects more accurately. Now with iOS 16, Apple's combined LiDAR with iPhone and iPad cameras and the new Room Plan API to let users create 3D floor plans in seconds. According to Apple, the API can be used for real estate, architecture, and interior design apps. And since it's precise and easy to use. So
Before you click on to the new one, go ahead, but don't click onto the new slide yet. Go ahead, Al. Finish up if you want there. I interrupted. I'm sorry.
I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay. So let me unpack this a little bit for you. And Al gets this and he's telling you what they said, but I like to de-geekify things. So the API, so just to kind of give you an idea and the importance of this, API is what Apple makes these. There are these things that so Worldwide Developer Conference, WWDC, just happened a couple of weeks ago. And the whole idea with it is the developers of different apps, whether it be for the Mac or for the iPhone or the iPad, they come, but Apple develops the framework. In other words, they make an API that uses this artificial intelligence or augmented reality, whatever you want to call it. And that's built in, that's part of the operating system. And then the developers learn how to make what they want to do work with that API. So it's kind of like
you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Apple provides the lumber and the nails, and then the developer and the plans, and then the developer builds the house and kind of makes their own additions. That's not a great analogy. I'll think of one. But the whole API is in there. And what is happening here is in the very near future, we're going to have augmented reality headsets, whether it be a glasses or goggles, whatever it is. Apple's been setting the stages for this, and it's going to come to fruition. And it's things like this API for augmented reality that's going to make that happen. And it's the ArcKit. And so it's really neat. The other thing here, they're talking about LiDAR. Well, what LiDAR is a big thing that they seem to think is needed in self-driving cars, but LiDAR is a little light beam that goes out and comes back. And what it does is it more accurately measures distances. It uses essentially, like when you think about sonar and radar, that bounces a signal out and then it comes back and it measures that time difference. Well, LiDAR does the same thing. It bounces a light beam out and it will tell you within very, very tight tolerances how far something is away. So that's where the LiDAR, which we've had in the phones for the last 3 years, it helps make these measurements better, and therefore it's more accurate. And you can see here, projected on a 2D, two-dimensional image, it's helping doing a 3D thing, and it allows you to do different things. I mean, years ago, I showed the one from IKEA where you could take, you hold it up in your room, and then you can choose different pieces of IKEA furniture to see what it would like and what it would look like in the room, but also secondly, if it would fit in that room. So this is a huge deal, and it's setting the stage, but I wanted to give you kind of the nuts and bolts on how that works.
Very good.
Thanks, Al.
No problem. Feel free to jump in. This here from Apple Insider again. Some of us, sometimes we're handing down older iPads, or we're buying a new one for a younger person or an elderly family member. There are some things that you should do. And this Apple Insider is a very helpful primer for those of us who are, passing on technology or trying to set something up for someone older in my family. I'm in the middle of doing that myself, and I found it pretty helpful. Okay, this again from 9 to 5 Mac. I guess TSMC, which is stands for Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the iPhone chip maker. It's announced its 2 nanometer chip production by 2025. This is the first time the manufacturer states when it's going to produce its ultra advanced new chips. Samsung and Intel have also released some of their roadmaps. We'll see how they compete. Recently, 9 to 5 Mac reported that Apple is using the 5 nanometer TSMC chips for its phones and Macs, and the company is pushing the chip maker to produce a 3 nanometer processor for their Macs as soon as 2023. So, it's with all the miniaturization and the smaller we can make these things, the less power it takes to drive them, more things that we can stuff inside a smaller form factor. This is an important metric to follow.
Yeah, great thing here. So TSMC, in fact, is great. They're also building another chip fabrication facility. So the chips that Apple uses, the M1 chip and the chips in the iPhone and the iPad, are all made by TSMC, but they're Apple's design. So really what it is they're chip designers. There's nobody in the world as good as Apple's chip designers. They're hitting it out of the park and doing some amazing things. And then TSMC is what's called a foundry. So think of it in the old steel business. You would have a design, you might make a mold for something, and then you would pour hot molten steel into it and they would make what it is. That's why they call these foundries. They're chip foundries. And in fact, one question comes up is, why doesn't Apple have their own chip foundry? Well, they're very expensive to do, and the problem is you want them to run at 100% capacity. So what happens is Apple wouldn't be making enough chips for themselves to make that beneficial. And there are, other than Samsung, who has their own chip foundry, there's not a lot of chip foundries out there. Of course, Intel designs and makes their own chips, but Apple spun off and got away from Intel because Intel couldn't keep up. Intel is building this new, quote, state-of-the-art chip manufacturing plant in Texas, and their state-of-the-art chip manufacturing plant will be a 7 nanometer process, and TSMC's been making a 5 nanometer process, 5 nanometer chips for at least 2 years. I think it's 3. Yeah. And the idea of getting it down to 2 nanometers, that's amazing, because that's less than half. And when they say the nanometer, it's the size of it. So what these are is, a chip is full of transistors. Think of it in the old days, there used to be a tube, and a tube would either be on or off, and that's the ones and the zeros. Well, what they finally did is they came up with a semiconductor, which is this little switch that just goes on or off, and you got rid of all those tubes. And then what they've done now is the switch is embedded and etched into silicon. Thank goodness it's something that's in huge supply and very inexpensive to do. And what they make these little wafers, and they put billions of transistors on those in the phone. It's just amazing. It's if you exploded this to like it used to be, the amount of chips in this, if it was tubes, it would probably not fit inside the Oakland Coliseum, and that'd be just one chip. So it's just amazing. And if you're ever in the Mountain View area, I encourage you to go down and go to the Computer History Museum. You can tour that thing in about 2 hours. It is fantastic. They start with abacus and slide rules and take you up to current full self-driving cars. So it's really, really, really amazing. But anyway, TSMC is the leader, and luckily, because they're being very smart. I think they're putting a new chip facility in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. Vietnam is the new tech central place, but the concern is, like Hong Kong, they're worried in Taiwan of China coming in and doing some things. So anyway, and Apple, the chip supply has been very bad. Apple, there's a delay on getting studio displays and some of the MacBook Pros and stuff, but Apple has done very well about weathering the storm on these chips. And it really has to do with the fact that Apple is such a huge, huge purchaser of chips. They're already starting to produce the iPhone 14, and they're sourcing the glass and the chips and everything. But this is a big deal, and it creates less heat, and it makes the thing run more efficiently because it's smaller. So therefore there's less heat dissipated, and therefore the battery life will increase dramatically, and the speed with which it can do these transactions will be huge. And to be honest, that's what's going to drive a wearable type glasses type thing, because it will have to be a computer also. So sorry to run on that, but I just wanted to set the stage because I think this is important. And Al, don't even worry about your time thing. I mean, don't.
Okay,
you're
great.
good.
No problem. Any other commentary there, Ken?
No, well, no, that was too much, but I just wanted
to.
to.
It's all good.
Think it's
good background. All righty. Here, finally, for this little bit, here on iMore, there's a YouTube channel, folks. They're called Noble Tech. They shared this new video that's 10 minutes of pure Mac nostalgia. I love it. In it, we get to see system 0.97 morph into macOS Ventura via macOS Monterey, with everything else we've enjoyed over the years. For Apple geeks and historians, this is a must see. You got to check it out. It's I'd play it, but it's like 10 minutes long. So the link's up there, and when you have an opportunity, check it out.
And again, that'll be in the email you get.
Yeah, you'll have all that stuff.
That's cool. I didn't know about that. There also was something recently where you could boot an old Mac in Safari, and it looked just like, and you could do all the different things in it, and it looked 12-bit screen and stuff like that. So
yeah. All these links, as we said earlier, will that are generated tonight and more will be distributed by a PDF by Bob White in his normal MacNexus email blast. And I will post it tomorrow, probably on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is a great forum for late breaking curated Apple tech news and support. And we encourage everyone to come check it out. Ken, you got anything else you want to throw in that's late breaking? I know
I'm gonna actually wait until my keynote's up. Okay. So I've got a few things, just like 3 things I'll bring in at the end. So go ahead with yours, because you then transition to what you were going to do.
Yeah, I think I just found out that there's been a new release of a keynote and Pages, and
I'm going to talk about that. I got that on my.
Okay, good, excellent. Like we said earlier, there's a lot of information to sift through with the Worldwide Developers Conference. I'm just going to hit on some of the high points, and Ken's going to finish up with a deep dive into Stage Manager.
A shallow dive.
Okay. Just don't hit the bottom.
Yeah.
Shallow dive into Stage Manager and passkeys and whatever else. I guess Apple has announced, of course, iOS 16, and the update brings a totally revamped and customizable lock screen interface. This lets you add custom wallpapers, change the date and times, font, and color, as well as add new widgets for weather, activity rings, calendar events, and more. Apple's also pushing updates to notifications and its focus feature. Looking forward to seeing that. Also, iOS 16 brings live activities that will let you pin and manage notifications. Think live sports scores on your lock screen. Apple's introducing hideable notifications that appear on the bottom of the lock screen. So this might be a nice touch to the interface. With iOS 16, you'll get the ability to edit any messages you send in the Messages app, as well as undo any messages you sent by mistake. Apple's also introducing the ability to mark a message as unread so you can easily find it later. This is going to be helpful, and we've all sent things that we wish we could unsend, so I'm sure that'll get a lot of use. So Apple is also getting in on the buy now, pay later trend that you make a purchase and pay it in a series of installments. The pay later feature is coming to Apple Pay in iOS 16. Next up, Apple's started a new safety check feature. It's designed to protect individuals in abusive relationships. It allows abuse survivors to view and manage who has access to their apps, passwords, and more. This is a wonderful thing. Moving on here, Apple announced a major update to CarPlay that allows for deeper integration with your vehicle. It can replace your car's instrument cluster with Apple's own, displaying speed, trip info, fuel and battery levels, and more. It should be interesting to see how the car makers embrace this initiative, and if it's a preview of a possible Apple car in the future. We'll see.
I believe that they mentioned that they were looking at end of 2023 for this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was like a year or so off.
It's slow to get the car companies to do anything.
Yeah, it's hard to turn that big ship. Coming up, Apple has added a number of new health tracking features, such as new running metrics, atrial fibrillation tracking, medication reminders. In addition to all the new features that watchOS 9 has, it's also added 4 new watch faces. And on a personal note, as a baby boomer, I would love a blood sugar monitor on my watch ASAP. I'd buy the watch just for that.
Yeah, and that's actually, I mean, if you think about it, people keep saying, what's the next iPhone for Apple and stuff? You know, Apple dips their toes in this stuff, and they're not always first to make it, but they're best to make it. And they're doing a lot of amazing things. Indications are that a glucose monitor they kind of look at that as a bit of a holy grail too. And there's indications that they've got it going, and it uses your perspiration off of your skin to be able to analyze it. Because if you think about it, most blood monitoring things require a stick because it analyzes your blood. They're kind of like Apple, thinking around it and going a little different way with it. But the other part about in watchOS 9, where it's going to more accurately do atrial fibrillation, because that's a huge deal. I have a good friend. He's 82 years old, and his watch told him, this was right before the EKG even, he had it, but he hadn't installed it on his watch yet because it was late coming out. And he was walking around New York City. He was going to go see his grandson perform at Carnegie Hall. And the watch popped up and said, you may be having atrial fibrillation. And he immediately went to Cedars-Sinai and was in there for 2 days. And they diagnosed this, which he'd never had it before. He was healthy as can be. And the best part was he got out of the hospital to see his grandson perform. But, you know, those are huge, huge deals. And although it does, there's the hypochondriac end of it where some people get too obsessed with looking at the stuff and then they're always worried about it. And of course, anxiety doesn't make you healthier at all. So it's kind of a balance. And Apple, I think health is, I don't mean health, I mean medical care, and active health is something that Apple is just, they're head and shoulders above everyone else in this. So thanks, Al.
No problem. I think going forward, it's probably going to be one of the most important initiatives that they have going forward. Their whole commitment to health related hardware. It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Also here, Apple's bringing the fitness app to all iPhone users. Previously, it was only available for those who actually had an Apple Watch. So this is a good thing. Although, I think my Apple Watch is indispensable.
On that, just so you know, some insurance companies will pay for your Apple Watch because they know about, and they're not going to monitor it for you, but they know that it encourages people to do fitness and things like that. But if you don't have an Apple Watch, I'll tell you, the iPhone itself does a really good job of not your heart rate or anything like that, but tracking your miles, tracking your pace, different things like that. And if you don't want an Apple Watch and you're worried about your heart rates, there's some additional things you can get that will put your heart rate through the phone. The phone kind of does it through the camera, but it's not very accurate. Thank you.
No problem. Apple's overhauled its home app, allowing for more efficiency as you manage the devices around your smart home. The update introduces new categories specifically for climate, lights, and security. It also lets you view 4 security cameras at once. I'll be using this.
Yeah, the home app has gotten so much better. And the other thing, as you mentioned earlier, what's the name of the one that's collaborating, the platform that Apple and
Matter,
yeah. Initially, and Apple stuff is all about security and privacy. So they run the tightrope and they walk that fine line to be able to give you accessibility and functionality, but still keep it secure and private. And it's a wonderful thing to do, but they have to really, they have to design so much more into it. It's so much more difficult knowing that that's their MO. And HomeKit, there's so many more things to work with. In fact, just today, years ago, I told you guys about the Bond device, which I have all my ceiling fans I used to be able to use Alexa. Well, I still can use Alexa for it. But the thing is now it's all HomeKit compatible. And I had one ceiling fan that I had not put in home, and I did it today. And it's just great because now with the little HomePod minis, I have 2 in my living room, and I can just pop up and tell Siri to do different things, turn the fan on, turn the light on, whatever. And it really is, it's finally come of age where, the A device from the other company had a big head start with the Echo devices, but I'll tell you, it's just really, really good. And you can count on it being safe and secure.
Yeah, that's critical. After all the months of and rumors, the next generation of Apple Silicon is finally here. Of course, Apple says the new M2 chip delivers a 18% performance upgrade when compared to the M1. We were talking about that earlier. The new MacBook Air trades in the M1 chip for an upgraded M2, but that's not all. It's less than half an inch thick, and it's available in 4 colors: silver, space gray, starlight, and midnight. It comes with a larger 13.6-inch display, thinner bezel, a tiny charger with 2 USB ports, and with the prices are start at $11.99 for the M2.
And it's thin now, but I think it doesn't have the taper anymore, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have the taper. It's kind of squared off, which I like. You know,
Yeah. No, it
my-
really, I mean, the original MacBook Air, you can remember years ago, one of the commercials is they sliced bread with it because it had kind of a sharp edge. But this new one, to be honest, it actually makes it so it's more robust around the screen.
Exactly.
Because now we're getting such thin bezels on the sides that
it needs protection.
it really needs that so you don't crack the screen. But the other thing is the MacBook Airs don't have fans in them. So this is pretty amazing. Your iPhone doesn't have a fan in it, and your iPhone is super powerful. Well, they're essentially putting that same chip inside of these computers, and the MacBook Air is throttled down just a little, and it doesn't need a fan. The MacBook Pros do have fans. You don't really notice the fans coming on, and it's rare they need it because the chips are so thin and so efficient. There's hardly any heat as the byproduct, because heat is just waste. That's battery use. And if something doesn't get warm, it's more efficient. Thank you.
Yeah. Like the new MacBook Air, the 13-inch MacBook Pro is also getting an M2 upgrade. It comes with 24 gigabytes of RAM, up to 2 terabytes of storage, as well as 20 hours of battery life. And it still has a touch bar, which kind of a mixed blessing for some folks. The new 13-inch Pro will be available next month, and it's available for pre-order starting at $12.99. What do you think?
And it's
Ken?
still got the touch bar.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the only thing left with the touch bar.
Yeah. People either love it or hate it. They're bumping into it, and screen goes off in all kinds of directions, and it's a mixed blessing. See, you'll soon no longer have to rely on your Mac's webcam. Apple apparently announced that Mac OS gives you the ability to use your iPhone as a webcam by attaching it using a specialized clip coming later this year. Now, I'm assuming that's just a piece of plastic, huh, Ken?
Well, actually, that clip is a Belkin one, and it's not available yet. And there are some people that have done some 3D things of it, but it's pretty simple. It's designed to just, you can see on that picture, there's just like a lip in the front. So it just kind of hangs off the back. And then, of course, all the iPhones since the 12 have MagSafe on the back. So that essentially just hooks to the that there'll be a round circle there that's part of that adapter, and it's MagSafe to it. So there's nothing, no stick on, nothing permanent to the laptop. And it's pretty neat because it also does the special feature that the iMacs and the other cameras have, that is, it allows to pan back and forth with you. And so it's really neat, and it's called continuity camera. So obviously you can't use your phone for other things, but the cameras in the iPhone are fantastic. And it's just, I'll tell you, this is a neat feature, and it really, really can do a good job. So, and it'll work across with other things. They haven't said Zoom yet, but it's my understanding it will. And those adapters will be around. So
I think it's pretty clever, and it's a shame not to be able to leverage the iPhone's cameras. Traditionally, the webcams inside these Mac machines have been mediocre historically, but they've gotten better. But to have a high-end Apple phone leverage those camera lenses, it's looking forward to checking it out. Even though I've got other stuff, it's iPad OS 16 comes with a new collaboration feature that lets you work with others within Office apps, such as Pages, and it's getting a handy new whiteboard tool called Freeform. Apple also announced an improved multitasking features with a Stage Manager, allowing you to resize and overlap windows on your iPad. Also, the iPad is finally getting the weather app.
yeah, I know. God.
Oh man, can't believe it.
So the whiteboard feature on this and collaboration, so let's just say you and another person have a nonprofit you work for and you're trying to get a newsletter out, or you're trying to make a poster or design a ticket, both of you could have pages open and you can do whiteboard markups on it and see the other, like you can say, oh, point to this. It's instantly showing up on the other person's screen. And by the way, this works on a PC because it's done within the browser. So you don't have to have a Mac to do this, but it's obviously better if you do. But the whole idea here is you could make some changes and then the other person can make changes when they want, or it can happen live while you're doing it. And that's really, really cool. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of Stage Manager to talk to you how it interacts with your own machines and things. So, and you can have multiple people on the collaboration, but just remember, it's something I learned and heard a long time ago. Like everybody's, you don't want a big group to design something. It's kind of like you cannot design art by a group. Art takes something. It's the same thing with the website. They always say, you keep it to a small amount of people because otherwise everybody's going to want it to do something else. And then you have this monstrosity that just doesn't work. So you can't do a website or art by a committee.
Ken, do you think there's going to be any bandwidth limitations with the whiteboard?
Well, probably not bad, because what you have to look for bandwidth is, it's like, well, okay, I'll give you a quick little thing here, how Apple was one of the designers of this. So video, it uses a lot of bandwidth, but how they cut the amount of video bandwidth needed, and in fact, how they make the file sizes smaller, pretend like you're looking at a weathercaster on TV and you're trying to do that, or actually the news person more than the weather. So what happens is the person, their head stays pretty stationary while they're reading the news to you off of the teleprompter, and just their lips are kind of moving a bit, right? Very little other stuff is moving. Well, sophisticated video these days, how they compress it to make it transmit better, but also secondly, so the file size isn't as big, the pixels that don't change are not stored every time. In other words, just the moving of the lips, that's the only part they have to concentrate on, making sure that they see the movement. Now, if you have a really busy background, and that's where, like the weather guy, where they're showing cloud patterns and things in the background, those become more intense. But on something like this, where you're only having to do the scribble line, those are the only pixels that are changing. So therefore, there's really very little to compress and worry about. Essentially, all the other pixels, like the pantry co-op lettering, that doesn't change. So therefore, it doesn't have to retransmit that image. It only has to transmit it when it changes. Now, did that make sense to everybody? And have you got it? If not, I can
absolutely
dig a little bit better on that. But that's really how video gets compressed, and actually kind of audio too. Audio takes the dead spots out. But yeah, this is great. I've done, actually a couple of years ago, there've been collaboration in the iWork suite for quite a while, and Pete and I did some collaboration on some stuff he was working on, and it just works great. And remember, you can do it real time, but this is another way to do what's called markup, where you would, let's say Al replaced the carrots with a piece of broccoli or something. So he could circle that and then say, okay, I'm putting broccoli in here. And then I don't have to see it live. I could then pull the thing up and I can make the changes. It has the ability to track those changes. So if it turns out that we both decide we don't like the broccoli, we can go back to before the broccoli was there. Nothing against broccoli. Go ahead, Al.
Okay, getting here to the end of it. Obviously, in macOS 13 Ventura, you can expect improved multitasking tool called Stage Manager. There's also updates coming to Spotlight and Apple's Mail app. Ken's going to be doing a shallow dive here momentarily and give us hopefully a good peer into that. Again, with Mac OS 13, Ventura is also adding support for something called Apple Passkeys in Safari. This new feature essentially replaces your password, letting you sign into various websites with just your iPhone or Mac. Ken will also take a deep dive into that. And with that, I'll hand it back to El Presidente.
Well, Al, thank you. And I think, and huge kudos. You did a killer job on that. So thank you, and good slideshow. So I'll stop your sharing.
Okay, great.
Got it. I know it's hard because just so you know, when you present on that, you can take the control bar and you can move it other places. It's always in the way.
I just didn't, I had it all the screens queued up in the right order. I just didn't hit the play button. That's all
yeah. All right. So I'm going to share my screen with a little bit of Keynote here. And again, I'll tell you, that's fantastic. And it's exciting, but I should point out that it's not going to, let me do a setting here before I do this. Where's the bar? There it is. Participants, Al. And there we are, we're off spotlight. Okay, great. So this stuff is all coming out in the fall. We have iOS 16 was what a lot of this was talked about, and Ventura, which is the new Mac operating system. And it's there's some neat things. It was introduced at WWDC, and it's pretty exciting. All right, there we go. So now I'm going to just follow up on that a little bit. Passkeys. Well, I'm going to say it's a shallow dive, and I don't want to bump my head because there's not a lot out on it yet. But I want to give you the view from 30,000 feet on passkeys. The majority of the tech support calls I get, and virtually everyone I know, including Apple, is a passwords problem. Now, I'm kind of lucky because I have eidetic memory and I can usually remember people's passwords. But that's a conundrum too, because remembering their passwords is kind of like, it's a good thing we have great relationships with my clients, but it's pretty bad when they call me up and can't remember the password. So biometrics, which would be fingerprints, face scans, or voice recognition, have kind of been the holy grail. And it looked like that's where it was going to go, because I'm sure some of you have used where they have, like I know Charles Schwab, they use it where you say a phrase and your voice print is as unique as your fingerprint. And it works really well for that stuff. But the problem is, and first of all, we need keys for our car and we need keys for our house because there's people that want to do bad things with your property. So you're safe from that because of keys. Passwords are the same thing. And the majority of people have fairly weak passwords, and passwords are kind of easily compromised. And the analogy I like to give for passkeys is going to be closer to what happens with Apple Pay. So if you remember back 5 years ago, we were all sliding our card, right? Your credit card, if you went to Target or Home Depot, and I'm using them specifically for a reason, because we know that they have been compromised. So when you slid your credit card, it takes your credit card number and it transmits it over the network. And the bank says, oh, yes, that's a valid card. And then your charge goes through. And this stuff all happens in pretty record time. And I'll give you an example of how quick this happens in real life. When my mother was alive, I used to take her down around Christmas and take her down to Arizona to a place they had in a wonderful RV country club down there. And I would leave her in her car there and I would fly back. Well, on the way down, and in fact, I always like to drive on Christmas Day because there's nobody on the road. So we, our Christmas dinner was usually at the Denny's in Blythe, but it worked out. So in the evening, we finished our dinner at the Denny's in Blythe, and I knew gas would be cheaper across the border. So I drove less than a half hour across the border and filled up with gas, or tried to fill up with gas in Blythe, or outside of Blythe. Blythe is in California. Anyway, the first stop over there, Quartzsite, I forget what it was. Anyway, it's more of like a big fuel stop where the truck stops are and the building is a ways away. So I put her credit card in and the pump says "See cashier." I'm going, oh, geez, what's up with this? So I look over there and I go, okay. So I start to walk over to go inside because I figured it was something wrong with the pump. So I have the credit card in my hand and I come back and I'm thinking, before I get there, I say, I'm going to try this one more time. And I turned around and it's about 8 in the evening or something. And my mom just answered a call on her cell phone. And that call on the cell phone, I'm like, she hardly ever gets calls. I say, what is it? And I hear her say, no, we're not in Arizona. And it was actually the credit card company had called, because if you think about their computer system, we had gone from California to a whole nother state, even though we're 20 miles away, we're in Arizona. And I said, oh, Mom, let them know. Yeah, you're in Arizona, you were asleep, and tell them to say, okay. So I turned right back around after that phone call and I put the credit card in and it worked. So that's how those credit card numbers, and that was before chips, the banks are trying to keep this fraud from happening, just like we're trying to keep our passwords from getting compromised. So then what happens in the credit card thing, then they came out with Apple Pay. Apple Pay was a little bit earlier and more prolific than the chips we have on the card. And the difference with what Apple Pay and what the little chips on your card do is your credit card number is never transmitted. There's in fact a one-time use code that gets transmitted. And guess what? If anybody intercepts a one-time use code, it's already been used because it's a one-time use code. So therefore, that's what gets transmitted. And it's a really neat setup. And Apple Pay worked very long with the banks. In fact, one of the first Apple Pay people was Chase Bank. And Chase had dedicated 120 people to get Apple Pay to work, because for them, the benefit is that it's more secure. They have less fraud. So whenever you use the chip or Apple Pay, it's transmitting not your number and it doesn't get hacked. Believe it or not, the way Target got hacked and all those credit card numbers got taken was all of their stores, their air conditioning and heating is controlled by the home office. The thermostats are set remotely. And the hackers found a way in through the company that was doing the heating and air conditioning into their network. And that's where they planted the seed and they started harvesting these credit card numbers. Who would have thought? Anyway, a long story to tell you about how passkeys works. Passkeys is, Apple is very good because we've had many classes about iCloud Keychain. iCloud Keychain is the most secure way to keep your passwords. It updates, and iCloud Keychain can also make very secure passwords for you. So what passkeys is going to do is it's going to do kind of like what we do right now. If you have any of the new Macs that have the fingerprint reader on them, or on your phone with Face ID or a fingerprint reader, you know how many times it'll fill your passcode in for you, your password in for you by just using your biometric. And that's all securely stored in the phone. Well, what passkeys is going to do is there's a consortium, and it's, Google is involved. I think, I'm not sure if Samsung is or not, but there's a collaborative going on where you won't need passwords any longer. You will be a trusted individual in that you have your information the phone will pass along saying, yes, this is really Bob Smith, and he's got the credentials, and boom, you're in, because it's a two-way thing. It's kind of like if you had one of those cards and you go up to a gate, like let's say you're in a gated community and you have the card that you need, or the clicker, but more if you have the little card to get in a gym or something like that. You hold that card up there and it's saying, well, this is saying this is Bob Jones. Okay, go ahead and let him in. The pass key won't pass a password. In fact, you won't have a password for these. It'll be, hi, I am really, and I've been authorized that I'm Bob Jones. And so boom, it goes through. And of course, it'll happen securely and privately from your phone. So that the thing is you won't be entering passwords anymore. This is a big problem on a Windows computer. There are what's called key loggers, and they can sit in a Windows computer and watch what people type. So therefore, if they see this person is going to Bank of America, someone is snooping in on this, and it doesn't do it live. Usually what it does is it collects this information and then it transmits it out surreptitiously, and it watches you do a key combination, and then it watches you put in your email address as your ID, and then it watches you put in your password. Now, on the Mac, if you got your password stored, and you should always let your Mac store your Mac and your all your Apple devices, you should let them store your passwords, because it is impossible for those to get into Keychain and compromise those passwords. So, and it's much better than having sticky notes on the bottom of the iMac. So you let it fill your password in for you. And if there was a keylogger on it, they wouldn't see you do it. They'd see it just fill in. They wouldn't see what the password is. They're just watching what is typed. The old technique used to be for Windows people is you keep it in a note and you copy and paste, because then they wouldn't see you type it. But a passkey will be something that's widespread. People will agree. And the great thing is you probably with just, for instance, your fingerprint or your Face ID, it'll go right in, and that will verify where you are. There will be no password to remember, because you're not needed as a password. That's what passkeys is, and it will propagate amongst all your devices. So in other words, you set it, you go through one time, boom, it's there, that's it. And you'll find that when you sign up for things, it'll be much easier. And of course, Apple has the thing where you can even hide your email address. So with giving you much easier security, with having to not write down passwords because there is no password, you're going to also be able to have more anonymity. And that's another huge, huge thing, because they don't have to know. They only have to know that you're authorized to get in. They don't have to know anything about you. So any questions on passkeys? That's just that's the view from 30,000 feet. And and Al, if you have anything to add, or Bob, if you guys have read on that, we're going to get into the details on this. This is coming this fall, but while it's going to be available this fall, it's going to take a while for it to roll out at different places. So we have a hand up from Joan. Go right ahead, Joan.
Yep. What happens if you die and your family needs to get into your computer?
Well, if your password, so your computer you can get into, I'm not sure what will happen on verification on that, but it brings up a good point. And what people need to do now is, so either in your will or your trust, you have a power of attorney for financial matters. You have a power of attorney for medical matters. And it is recommended now you have a power of attorney for your digital assets. So there's a couple ways that you can go about that. But the beauty is, if you're able to get in the computer, you can still do the banking and do all those things you need to, because those passwords are stored in Keychain for now. How passkeys is going to handle that, I'm not sure, but I encourage you guys to do that. And I'll give you a little tip on how to make that work also is, I had one client, she's since passed away, but not from this. And Shirley Simi, she was wonderful. Well, she was going in for some surgery, and we thought about this. She said, look, I don't want my kids to have my keys to the kingdom, but I want them to have my keys to the kingdom if I pass away. So I came up with a technique, and it works quite well. And I've done the same thing. I created a brand new Gmail account. You could do an iCloud account, probably a little more secure than Gmail, but I don't think Gmail is bad for this. So I created that account, and I only used that for certain things. And what she did is she would email her passwords to herself in Gmail, but never go look at that account and never use that for anything else. So nobody knew that account really existed. And all the information she wanted the kids to have and everything that you would normally put in a letter or whatever. Well, digitally, it did this. And then, of course, let's say she changed the password in between when she did this, she just emailed a new one up there. Or you would email the thing with your passwords on it. And what you do is she just put it in an envelope. She sealed the envelope. She put it on her desk. And in that envelope was the password to that Gmail account. And that way they could get in there. And then it was like having the ring of keys for everything for the house. So there's other ways. There's ways to do this. Some of the companies are doing, Apple has, and I forget what it's named. Apple has a wonderful system for that. And you're able to do it in your health app. And I believe it's called Successor or something like that.
Legacy, maybe?
Legacy.
Yeah, Legacy. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, and that's for Apple stuff. And that's important too. So yeah, good question. And I'm not sure how Passkeys is going to handle it, but I would be willing to bet that there's something to that. Keith, go ahead with your question.
Several years ago, you came up with a system for remembering passwords, and it had to do with the first two letters, like Amazon used AM, and then you'd use some combination of lowercase and uppercase letters and some numbers that you could remember. That was the suffix of 7 or 8 characters after the AM. And that way you kept your thing separate. Are you saying that system that you devised and I've been using for several years is no longer usable or feasible if this passkeys becomes popular?
So great question. And thank you for using that system. Those of my clients that use it love it. And I use I practice what I preach. I use the exact same system myself. I think I probably have a passwords video online. But anyway, what it is, Keith, is passkeys will eliminate needing passwords. And let me give you an example of that is, I think back in the old days, we had garage doors that had padlocks on them. And you had to have a key to open the padlock to your garage door. Well, now you simply drive up to your garage door and you've got a clicker and that opens the garage door. So if you decide to put the padlock on the garage door, it'll still be there. But what it does, it obviates and makes where there are pass keys, you will no longer need a password, because all the password, think about what the reason for the password was to protect your account, whatever it was, from somebody getting in. So the key was this password. Apple's made it easier that now the password is stored in the keychain and it fills it in for you. But no, all it will be is it comes up and it won't even need your email. That it'll say, I'm Keith McMahon and my phone verifies that that's who I am. I own this phone. Allow me access. And it allows you secure access. And the big deal there is nothing's stored, and there's some sort of digital connection that happens. And believe it or not, it's with all the things that have happened that allow you to do these multiple what is it now? It's what Bitcoin uses, but what's the it's the crypto
Blockchain.
blockchain. Excuse me. Thank you. So I'm not sure if passkeys uses blockchain or not, but it may be a derivation of that. And again, we're going to find out more about passkeys. This is just kind of like giving you the teaser because we can't use it yet because it's not available until the fall. And then remember, and in the meantime, all these developers are working with it. So you have developers from Quicken, you have developers from Adobe, you have all these developers. Well, they're learning how in the world right now from the Worldwide Developer Conference, how to implement passkeys. And the more of them that implement passkeys, the better. And passkeys is not just an Apple one. Apple is signed on. So Apple is a major one in it. And so therefore, you know that it'll be very, very secure. But the way to look at passkeys is it's still like a password that gets you in your account. You just don't have to remember it. Your password is you. Your password is no longer a phrase. The password is you. Your device will make sure that it's you, and it will only say to the passkey, go ahead and open it. And again, I think of it more like how we use iCloud Keychain right now. If it says fill in a password, it says use your fingerprint or use your Face ID. Well, you're not having to put the iPhone passcode in. You're really letting it use your Face ID. The only time that comes up is if it can't recognize your face. So I think of it like, let's call it pass through. Passkeys is a pass through. Hopefully that makes a little sense, and I'll dig in more and more because I'm encouraged by this because those are the calls I hate to get from everybody. And it's just passwords, smash words. It's the biggest cuss word there is. In fact, I have a few clients that use cuss words in their passwords, and that works pretty well. All right, so Stage Manager. Now, Stage Manager is across the Apple devices so far, but there are indications it may not require the M1 chip. But currently, Stage Manager requires an M1 Mac, M1 or newer, and an M1 iPad, like an iPad Pro or the newer iPad Air. And the reason for the M1 chip is this is a super powerful chip. But Stage Manager will do a couple things, and I have a short 2-minute video to show you on it. But what Stage Manager is I can have my iPad right next to my laptop, and I can move something I'm working on over to the iPad so I can use touch on the iPad. And I could adjust a photo or things like that. It's really, really amazing. And it's probably going to be one of those things when it's first introduced, there'll be more and more stuff that will come along. And in fact, I would imagine that the developers will have to spend a lot of time with it. But Stage Manager also allows you, like on an iPad now, you know how on an iPad, you've always got just one window, or on a phone, but on the iPad especially, the window of what you're looking at is up there. You can do split screen, but what this will be is more like a Mac thing where you can have 4 or 5 different windows or applications open and pop between them all quite well. So I think the video is next. The audio video is, so this is a good example. So this is Stage Manager between a MacBook Pro, a MacBook Air, and then on the Mac, and you can interact with a document between them all, and of course with an M1 iPad. Oh, you know what? I know. Hang on. Let's get my video here. Here we go. Okay, so bear with this. It's 3 minutes.
iPadOS 16 brings users 2 new features that we've all been clamoring for. And that's official external monitor support and some sort of better solution to multitasking. And so in this video, we're going to go over those 2 specific new features coming to your iPad.
Is it loud enough, Al? Is it working?
Yeah.
Great.
It is important to note that these features are unfortunately available for iPads only with the M1 chip, at least as of right now. And so that would include the latest 2021 iPad Pros, both the 11 and 12.9-inch models, and the new 2022 iPad Air. Stage Manager is a different multitasking option on top of the split and slide overviews that Apple has already offered inside of iPadOS. So with Stage Manager, once it's activated, which can be done via Control Center, you'll see a tiled view of all of your open apps off to the left side, with one app sort of taking the center stage.
Now remember, he looks like he's on a laptop. He's actually on an iPad Pro here. You can see by the keyboard and how it's suspended.
And that's the app that you would interact with and work on. And then whenever you need a new app, you can go over and click on any of the icons on the left side. What's great about Stage Manager on iPadOS is now you can finally resize windows and move them around freely on your iPad. There's still some minor restriction from Apple, but you can drag the bottom corner of a window to resize, and you can even add other apps from the left-hand side to the center to have multiple floating windows at one time, something that just wasn't possible in previous versions of iPadOS. Where this feature really shines is when you do it in conjunction with an external monitor. In previous versions, external monitor support was possible, but it wasn't great. You couldn't extend your iPad to another monitor, except in really specific situations, but primarily whenever you plugged in your iPad into a monitor, it became a mirrored version of whatever was running on your iPad. It also never took full advantage of the large display, offering some sort of letterboxing, and it didn't look good and it wasn't great. iPadOS 16 makes external monitor support feel like you're running macOS on your iPad, in which you can just throw over a different app to have multiple windows over on your large monitor, and then you can have a completely different app running on your iPad. And then you can also adjust the arrangement of your iPad and larger external display, just like you would in macOS, to make it easier to navigate from one screen to the other. Now, again, this is all still in beta, and so some of the apps do not play well with the external monitor support and with Stage Manager. But for the most part, things have been running pretty smoothly altogether. I do think this is going to be a huge feature for those who really want to use their iPads as their main computer, and sort of the external monitor and multiple windows kind of floating and being able to be used at one time was sort of holding you back. I think this settles all of that. I mean, for most people who do a lot of office or admin work, you pretty much should have everything you need now. For me, I'm right there as well, but I'm just kind of holding out for a little bit more pro applications to make its way to the iPad, specifically Final Cut, since that's the editor of choice. But having this external monitor support and another multitasking solution for window management has been a great addition so far. But of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around.
All right. So Al, I'll put that in right now. Actually, I'll go back to the page where he talks about it too. I'll get it to you at the end. It's Mac Rumors. That's just
I'm on Mac Rumors right now.
Okay. Massive iPad update. Let's see if I can get it in my history here. Here it is. I'll give you this link. I'll put that in the PDF. So that to me gave a really good update on that. So the other news just happened, and this blows me away. Pages finally does mail merge. God, what are we? 20 years of having Pages, and finally you can do mail merge. And what mail merge is, and luckily it's available now, by the way. This is an update on the iOS and on the Mac, and update your Pages, because mail merge works. And this will be so much easier to do your Christmas card lists and to do personalized letters and things, because mail merge allows you to take stuff in your contacts and put it into a Pages document. And the other really cool thing with Keynote, this has only come out in the last day, so I haven't played with it, but Keynote now allows you to have a background to the slide that's actually a video or a moving graphic and things like that. It's not part of the presentation. It's part of the background. For instance, think about my picture here where these clouds might be moving, or Al's picture where there might be wind for those. Those can happen within Keynote, and it's pretty neat. Obviously, it takes up a little bit of bandwidth and stuff, but that's pretty good. But I really just think the mail merge for Pages is huge. So we are running low on time. So I'm hated to tease you. I will be happy to answer any accessibility questions, but the July 2nd, you'll get at least half of the 3 hours will be about accessibility on all of the devices, and it's pretty amazing. And if you don't need accessibility, there's some things everybody should have, but I'll tell you, it's you might know somebody that needs it, and it's both for the hearing and sight impaired, and even for people that have motion issues like Parkinson's and things like that. So super quick, I'm going to go down because there's no time to dive to that, but right before the raffle, I'm going to play this one video. And this is a 2-minute and 45-second wrap up of everything that was at WWDC. And then we'll go right to the raffle. Oh, let's do full screen. Oh, and by the way, the person here, Serenity Caldwell, she had presented remotely to MacNexus years ago. She can't do it anymore. She was with iMore, and she's fantastic. She did roller derby, if you remember that. She's a roller derby queen and all that. And Serenity has been working for Apple for, gosh, 4 or 5 years now. And this is some of her work, and it's really cool.
Welcome to HQ. I'm Serenity Caldwell. Here's your day 1 debrief of WWDC. iOS 16 is now mission ready, starting with the reimagined lock screen. Choose from countless fonts, colors, and widgets to personalize your iPhone. Want to set boundaries between work and home life? Activate personal focus. And if you've ever sent an embarrassing message, now you can fix that. Or better still, erase it before anyone spots it. With SharePlay, you can actually watch movies and shows with friends while messaging. Want to send a picture of your best friend without the background? Just touch, lift, and send. Sharing photos with family just got a lot easier with
iCloud Shared Photo Library.
We also got a sneak peek at the future of CarPlay. And arriving in Maps, at last, the ability to plan up to 15 stops. Say hello to some new Apple Watch features.
Oops, my mistake. Gosh darn it.
Welcome to
Can I
HQ.
advance it?
I'm Serenity
I
Caldwell.
can't.
Here's
All
your
right, we'll
day
stop it.
Debrief of WWDC.
Al's going to provide
We have the link. So
there's a link up there. I tried to stop it to say something, but since it's downloaded in Keynote, it messed it up. So I apologize. And I can't scrub in Keynote. So anyway, that was just a wrap up. And I encourage you still to go back and look at the Keynote from, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, from the beginning of WWDC. And it's great. Al will have the link. So before we go to the raffle, anybody have questions? We covered a lot, and I just really thought this WWDC stuff was really, really pretty amazing. And it's exciting. And we'll do I'll touch on some of this stuff on the first Saturday class, but it will be all about accessibility on the first Saturday class. So
looking
if
forward
that didn't work for you, you guys can have a refund. What, Al?
I'm just looking for the public betas of some of this software.
There's the public betas are they available now?
I don't think so.
I think it's only developer betas right now, right? Yeah. So I never encourage anyone to put a public beta on a machine that is mission critical. And what that means is I have an extra iPad that when the public beta comes out, I will use that because it won't disrupt anything I do if something goes wrong. And betas are just that. I mean, they're not finished. So, be careful, but I think it's pretty neat. And, but it's great. I'll tell you, the stuff coming out is fantastic. So not seeing any questions, anybody, and unmute yourself if you have any questions, and otherwise we'll move on to the raffle. Again, Al, I want to thank you for putting your keynote together. That's fantastic. And the links that he gives you guys are just awesome. Absolutely awesome. And it really does supplement this. And so when you go back and watch the video, you could use the links at the same time and and do that. So it's really made us multimedia. So, all right, not seeing any questions. Mary, do you have a number for us? I have the 304, or I'm
Yes.
sorry, Lisa.
No,
You were right with Mary.
yeah,
Okay.
we have 37.
37 members. And you know, we didn't have to have anybody do their their name. I see Royce, but we know Royce, so that's okay.
Royce.
All right. So the way this works is we're going to do a virtual drawing. I'm going to have Siri make the pick, and the first drawings, there'll be 4 $25 gift cards for Amazon and 2 $100 gift cards to Amazon. And those will be only for the people that were in attendance. And then at the end, there will be a $100 one, and that's for the entire membership. Now, and I have to always do the disclaimers. If you win one of the $25 ones, and then later you win a $100 one, you have to give up, or even if you win 2 $25s, you have to give up one of yours. And I would recommend that if you win both of them, you should give up the $25 one, not the $100 one. And Siri pops up on my screen. And if it's a misdraw, in other words, if I don't speak clearly in it, and I only get 1 through 32 when it's supposed to be 37, that drawing doesn't happen. Mary and Lisa are the only 2 that have the numbers that correspond with the names. So I don't have this. I have no control over that, nor does anybody else. So as we move along here, I will have Siri. I'm going to do the 4 $25 raffles or gift cards first. And it's 1 through 37, right, Mary?
Right.
Great. And we know that it's inclusive. 1 and 37 are included. Give me a random number between 1 and 37.
The answer is 3.
3.
Barbara Bedo.
Hey, Barb, congratulations. And by the way, everybody will get an
Thanks.
email for me this evening once this is over, and it'll be from Amazon actually, but it'll have your email in there. Oh, and by the way, when you guys copy and paste that to me, just keep the email addresses is all I need, because it makes it a lot quicker for me to copy and paste, because I know you guys have the actual names. Okay, congratulations, Barb. Give me a random number between 1 and 37.
The answer is 6.
6. 3 more up.
Carlos Miranda.
Carlos, congratulations. Give me a random number between 1 and 37.
It's 14.
Gosh, we're getting up there.
They're going in order. Elfreda Delaney.
Alfreda, congratulations, Alfreda. And 1 more $25 gift card. Give me a random number between 1 and 37.
It's 11.
Wow, that's funny. Nobody was in the top half, but maybe it'll be the hundreds. So by the way, on my screen, I see random 1, 37. So I'm able to verify that that I spoke correctly is what it is.
Well,
all right.
The last one is Dennis Irwin.
Dennis, congratulations.
Irwin, I'm sorry, Dennis.
Irwin, yeah. All right.
Thank you. That's great.
2 more $100 gift cards. Give me a random number between 1 and 37.
It's 20.
See, now we're in the upper half.
Oh, John Hart.
Congratulations, John. Give me a random number between 1 and 37.
It's 36.
We finally, but that's how it worked out. That's interesting.
It's Tom Spencer, Mr. Vice President.
Mr. Spencer, no relation. Congratulations, Tom or Thomas. All right. So now we have 304 active members, and this last one will be for a $100 gift card for the active member. Now, if it came up with 36, it wouldn't be Tom Spencer again, because this list has a totally separate set of numbers.
Right.
Give me a random number between 1 and 304.
It's 270.
And it did do it correctly, I see, between 1 and 204. 270.
270, Georgiana Alonso.
Ooh.
All right, Georgiana. Congratulations, everybody. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to stick around and ask it, and then I'll be shutting it down after a little bit. So thank you, and have fun out there and stay cool.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Ken, this is Bev. I have a Tesla comment.
All right, go right ahead, please.
Have you ever seen something like that on your screen?
Yeah, do you know what it is?
Well, I learned it's called Reboot Me.
Oh, yours is all scrambled. Yeah, the 2-finger boot. Well, I thought you meant the little house sign. So believe it or not, that little round reddish circle used to look just like the one from 2001: A Space Odyssey. That was the HAL thing. They made it
really?
But yeah, so the 2-finger thing, in fact, just like your phone and your computer, it's good to reboot them every so often. And I make a habit of rebooting my screen every time I get a software update.
Oh, yeah, they said that. It was new to me. Fortunately, I wasn't headed towards anything quickly because it took me 20 minutes on the phone waiting to get instruction on what to do.
Yeah, so, and did they have you hold it until you saw the Tesla logo or just until it went black?
I held it a little excessively long, so I think I did see the Tesla logo.
Yeah, I like to do it till the Tesla logo. It just seems to be deeper. And if that doesn't do it, well, actually, it'd be hard to get in and shut down the car. But yeah, and believe it or not, it's not recommended, but you can even do it while you're driving.
Yeah, because nothing worked. And plus, I have the little keypad, and it was over that, so I couldn't even keypad in my to open things up. But then I went to my phone.
Well, you have PIN to drive?
Yes.
Okay.
I've walked away from the car too many times with my phone still in the car.
Okay. Well, you should not do that. And actually, if you want to do that, turn Bluetooth off on your phone.
Well, it's not intentional.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I was cognizant enough,
I mean, you're not like the rest of us. If your phone's not with you, feel like you've gone outside in only your underwear.
No, I often don't have it glued to me.
Okay, well, that's good. But do you have your key card with you all the time?
Yeah. But the problem is when it's in the car, and if I put it in the charging zone, it just blends in, and it's just a new habit to get into always taking the car.
Get in the habit of that, and get in the habit of plugging in every time you park it. So yeah, that's weird. That's just it's like anything else. That's just scrambled bits, But with PIN to drive, yeah, you're pretty stuck, I think.
Well, and yeah, because I couldn't. That was over the PIN covering the numbers, so I couldn't key in my 4 numbers.
Yeah. Now you know how to do it. It's pretty common, and yeah, I froze. Ironically, every time before I do a Zoom, I reboot my computer, and I rebooted it 15 minutes before, and that was weird. So, like I was saying, Bev, and I don't know if you heard it, but I said, just like on your computer, how a reboot always cures things, and then boom, I go like that. But it's the same thing on the car.
Well, and it also
and last night they had a server outage where you couldn't get from your phone to your car. And you could
Cloudflare?
do stuff, but there was a server outage, and it's only I've only seen that in 7 years, 2 other times.
The other thing was I could stream, I could get podcasts, but the audio for radio, which is what I usually listen to, I couldn't get that. So I called him in again, and he had me reboot with the 2 buttons.
Yeah.
Solved that. So yeah. But what's this orange symbol is from 2001?
So, well, no, the orange, the orange symbol, if you walk away from your car when you don't have your phone or your key, it's not at home, because you park yours inside, right?
Correct.
Do you have it so Sentry mode doesn't go on at home?
Correct.
Right. So, and remember, if you pull it outside, it still thinks that it's home. So you would turn on Sentry mode automatically. But if you're in a parking lot sometime and it works really well at night, just keep your phone away from it and walk up to your car, and you'll see that on your screen, and it says you're being recorded. And it was originally the red button from HAL from 2000, the computer from HAL, the computer, human something, whatever it was HAL stood for. And then if people mess with your car a little bit, the lights will flash, and you can toot the horn. And if it's and the Sentry mode goes on, and it's recording any of the motion. And then you can actually, now you can view it live on your phone.
Right. I think I practiced that once.
You can see your cameras, but otherwise it records it, but it'll play the stereo super loud if somebody jostles the car too much.
Have you had where your dash cams were not recording to your USB and having to go in and reboot, reprogram, reformat the USB?
I've had it occasionally, and the most recent one has kind of been that way. But I try not to reformat mine, because I have a custom light show and I have custom sounds for the megaphone.
Yeah. Mine, I was having to do that about once a week now, but the guy said that could have been related to one of the updates.
Well, yes, but the other thing is you have to have a high quality USB stick, because it's using video and everything else.
Well, it's the one that Tesla put in.
Oh,
there.
then that one's fine. Yeah, that's the $45 128 gig metal one. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the guy said to take it into my home computer and erase it, but I did that. But and actually, there's still one that stays on. It's like one that the guy said it's a video picture of and I can't erase it. It's from if I was in the car and push the button to have a picture taken. But details that don't concern others.
Interesting, because mine doesn't. Mine has track mode and Tesla cam on it is all.
Yeah, I can't get one picture to remove even when I say delete, but
yeah,
not a biggie.
Oh, and what you have to do though is, so when you throw it in the trash, you have to empty the trash.
I was going to say, I'm not going to throw that USB in the trash.
No.
I was being literal.
On your computer, did you try throw it in the trash?
Yeah.
Then any USB stick, this is really weird. You have to throw it in the trash, and then you have to empty the trash while it's plugged in, because it's temporary. So let's say your trash was empty, and you took this one image and you drug it to your trash bin, and you unplugged the USB. Your trash would be empty. You plug the USB back in, whatever you had thrown in the trash from that USB is still in your trash until you empty the trash.
Yeah.
That's just not the Tesla stick. That's all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then what I recommend is do that and then go back to the car and have the car formatted. Just like with cameras. I do that with camera cards. And I never erase my camera cards. I keep them. But you take a camera card when you have a brand new one, you want to format it in the camera, because then it's going to be better for the camera.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've used my little. Well, I have mirrorless small cameras, but yeah. I'm gonna on my little trip to Europe here that I'm leaving in about 5 days. I'm just gonna take my phone I'm just not taking any
Oh,
weight,
it's just.
but I don't have the newest, fanciest. But
They all work, and it's so much easier on the phone.
yeah.
Do you have a neck holder or anything like that?
Yes, I've got that. Yeah, I love
That one, yeah, good.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wear it all the time because of ladies' pockets are not deep.
Well, no, and it's just more safe and secure because it's in front of you, and it's more. And if you're like at a waterfall or something like that, you're just not going to lose it.
I have it on even in the house. I never take it off.
There you go. All right. Well, I got to get everybody's winning emails out. Al, great job again. Thank you.
No problem. That was great. It was a great
Your
experience.
smile, you're on camera sign back there. Oh, that video I had of the stage thing, that guy's desk was scarily clean. There was nothing. That was just like, man,
staged.
I think that's not the desk he works on.
That's certainly not mine, man.
I know. You know what
geez.
Einstein said? A clean desk is a sign of a sick mind.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Man, I've just got so many projects in states of completion here, and just one more list thing to add. Cleaning my desk is just one more thing to add, and
yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna.
All right,
get
buddy.
these out.
Hey,
I